Hi, welcome to Coding Droplets and thank you for watching this video. This is a complete course to develop .NET applications or services with gRPC. So this video is part of a series and this is the second video of the gRPC C# tutorial series. You can check out the playlist link that is mentioned in the video description for finding other videos in this series. In the previous video, we have covered the basics of gRPC and different types of gRPC APIs. Now in this video, we are going to see about the first type of gRPC API, that is gRPC Unary API. So we are going to implement gRPC Unary API in .NET C#. So first let's see what is gRPC Unary API, or we can also call it as Unary RPC. Unary RPC is the simplest type of RPC where the client sends a single request and gets back a single response from the server. So we can say that it is similar like REST API, which is very commonly used. From a client application, we can send a request to the API in the server, and the client application will receive a response for that particular request. Now let's implement the gRPC Unary API in .NET C# project. Don't miss the upcoming videos in this channel. Please subscribe the channel named Coding Droplets. Also don't forget to press the bell icon so that you will get notified once we upload new videos. Now first let me create a new project in Visual Studio for implementing gRPC Unary API service. So for that, I'm clicking on Create a New Project. And instead of creating a project, first I'm creating a blank solution. So here we need two different projects. The first project will be the gRPC API service, and the second project will be a client application to consume gRPC API. So the client application can be any kind of application. It can be a web application or console application, whatever it may be. You can consume gRPC API in any kind of applications. So first time I have selected blank solution now. Now clicking on next, and let me name this project as gRPC Unary demo. Fine. Now clicking on create to create the project. Fine, the project has been created and you can see there is a blank solution in the Solution Explorer. Now I'm right clicking on the solution and clicking on Add New Project. So first we need to create gRPC service. So I've searched for gRPC and you can see a project template named AspNet Core gRPC service. So you can select this, click on Next and provide a name for this. So I'm providing gRPC service as the project name, clicking on Next, and the framework which I'm going to use is .NET 6, and clicking on Create to create the project. So the project has been created and you can see the project files in the Solution Explorer. So there is a protos folder in which greet.proto, which is automatically created, and also there is a services folder in which greeter.service that is also automatically created while creating the project. Fine. Now let me create one more project for consuming the API. So let it be a console application. So console app, clicking on next. Now I'm naming this as gRPC client. Clicking on next, and here also I'm using .NET 6 framework, create. Fine. Now that console application is also created. Now the first thing I need to show you here is I'm just opening gRPC service, the gRPC server app API service, and right clicking on the project. Now here we can see an option edit project file. So I'm clicking on that, so it will open the csproj file in Visual Studio. Here you can see an item group. Inside the item group there is a line protobuf include protos/greet.proto. So this is this proto file which is inside this protos folder, and gRPC services equals server. So you need to check this line, which is this has to be like this. Sometimes due to some bugs, there might be some small differences in this line. So you have to check this, you have to verify this, whether this is created clearly. Okay. Now, for a client application, we need to provide the item group, the protobuf inside item group in the same way, but the only difference is instead of server, here we have to provide client. So now I am just undoing it. As this is a server project, we need to use server here, but for a client project, we need to use client here. So anyway, that I will show you at the time of implementation. Now let us create a new proto file or protobuf inside this protos folder. So we are not going to use this as it is a auto-generated one. We don't need this. We will create a new one and we will see how we can consume that API, how we can create and consume that API. So first I'm right clicking on the protos folder, clicking on add, then new item, and here you can search for proto and it will show the option protocol buffer file. Here we can provide a name. So let me provide sample.proto and clicking on add. So this should add the file to the project, but for me it is showing language must be specified. So this is a bug in Visual Studio. So in the upcoming versions it will be cleared. So already they have launched the preview, they have cleared this issue in the preview version, but I have not installed the preview version. I'm waiting for the release version. So to overcome this, what we can do is I'm just copying this read.proto file and pasting it here itself in the same folder and just renaming it sample.proto. Now I'm opening this sample.proto and here you can see some syntax equals proto3. So proto3 is the syntax which we are going to use. It is the version of the protobuf. Now option C# namespace is gRPC service. So in C#, if we provide this in the client, we can use the same namespace gRPC service that I will show at the time of consuming or implementing in the client application. Now the package name is greet. So here I'm changing this. Instead of greet, I need sample. Now service, okay, I'm removing this line. Okay, this everything I'm removing. Fine. Now here what we need to do is first I will show you a simple example or a gRPC Unary sample. So here I'm removing these two. Message, oh sorry, message, and I'm naming this as sample request. Okay, and here string name, or let it be first name, equals 1. So string is the data type and this is the field name, first name, and this 1 is just a field number. So as I told in the previous video, gRPC will share the protobuf in a binary format. So the field number will be used to identify the fields in the binary format. So it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that way. So we need here two different string values, first name, then last name, equals to 5. So this is the request. Now the next we need to get a response. So the response, I'm naming this object as sample response, and it also should be a string. The name of the property is full name equals 1. So we can start the field number with from 1, then we can use 2, 3, 4, 5 in that way. I will show you the details of field number. So here you can see how we can assign the field numbers. So as you can see, each field in the message definition has a unique number. So that is a very important point. The field numbers should be unique. These field numbers are used to identify your fields in the message binary format and should not be changed once your message type is in use. Note that the field numbers are in the range 1 through 15 take 1 byte to encode, including the field numbers and the field type. You can find out more about in this protocol buffer encoding. Anyway, the field numbers in the range 16 through 2047 take 2 bytes. So you should reserve the numbers 1 through 15 for very frequently occurring message elements. Remember to leave some room for frequent occurring elements that might be added in future. Now there is a small note here. You also can, the smallest field number you can specify is 1 and the largest is here, this number. And you also cannot use the numbers, these two, from this number to this number, as they are reserved for the protocol buffer's implementation. The protocol buffer compiler will complain if you use one of these reserved numbers in your proto file. Okay, fine. So this is about field numbers. So you can check out this particular URL to see more about Proto 3 implementation. So now coming back to our proto file. So here we have 2 fields in the request and 1 single field in the response. Okay, now, here we have to make the change. So here, service, I'm just naming this as sample. Now here, RPC say hello instead of say hello, get full name, that is the service or the method name which I am giving. This is the service name, so sample will be the service name and the method name will be get full name, and this get full name will accept the sample request. So while calling this particular method, we have to pass first name and last name, these 2 values, and it should return the reply. Reply is sample response. So here in the reply or in the result, it will have full name. Okay, fine. Now the next thing what we have to do is right click on the project, edit project file, and just check whether this proto file has been added or not. So here it is added as we expected. So fine. Now the next thing what we have to do here is, now in services we don't have the service implementation for this. So what I'm going to do is, first we need to build the project. I'm building the project. Okay, the project got compiled successfully. Now I'm going to services, add new class, and I'm naming this as sample service. Clicking on add. Now this should inherit from sample.samplebase. Okay. Now here we can override the methods get full name. Okay. So this is at a public override task sample response. So sample response will be the return type, and we will get sample request as a parameter here. So here the only thing what we need to do is var result equals request dot first name space request dot last name So this will be saved in the result. Now return new. Okay, we can do one thing. Async task. Okay, now return new sample response in which full name equal to result. Fine, simple implementation. Now I'm compiling this and you can see the build has been succeeded. So now the server part is ready. So here there is one more thing. Instead of making this async, now here we are not having any awaitable methods. So what we can do here is task dot from result of new sample response. So in this way we can return the value. So if we have any awaitable methods, what we can do here is make this method async and return the value as we did before. So now the server part is ready, the API part is ready. I'm just compiling it again after this modification. Fine. Now let us see how we can implement the client project. So for a client project, if the client project is developing by a separate company or separate team, the only thing what we have to provide them is the proto file and the URL in which the service is configured. Fine. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder named protos, and I'm just copying this proto file and pasting it here, sample.proto. Fine, we don't need greet.proto, so sample.proto is enough. Now we need to install some libraries in order to consume the gRPC API. So the libraries we need to install are, I will right click on the project and clicking on manage NuGet packages. And the first library what we need to install is gRPC .NET.Client. So it is searching and you can see the library here. I'm clicking on install, accept. Fine, now that library has been installed. Now the next library we need to install is google.protobuf, and it is here. I'm clicking on install and it is also installed. Now the next library is grpc.tools. Fine, the last library which we need. Okay, now that is also installed. Fine, I'm closing the NuGet packages. Now just compiling the application, and yeah, the compilation got succeeded, but that is not enough. Now as we did here in gRPC service, we have created an item group here. So in the same way, we need this line. We don't need the greet.proto as we are only implementing sample.proto. So I'm just copying this and let me close all tabs. Now right clicking on gRPC client project, then edit project file, and here somewhere here I can open an item group. Now just pasting it here, and as I told, here we need to use client instead of server. Now just compile the application and you can see the compilation got succeeded. Now I will show you one thing here. Now I'm clicking on show all files. So you can see here now it is showing the files. So inside this obj folder there is a debug folder, .NET 6, and here you can see protos folder. Now inside this protos folder, two CS files got generated. Now if we open this CS files, I'm opening both. Okay, here you can see now gRPC has created or auto-generated so many codes for us. So we can directly consume this code, and here you can see the namespace is gRPC service. So here gRPC service is the namespace which we have mentioned in the proto file. Sorry, not greet, not proto. Here in this proto file we have mentioned the C# namespace is gRPC service, and the same namespace has been created here. And I'm opening the next CS file, sample.cs. In that also there are a lot many codes here, description, then message, so many things here. And here also it is using some Google Protobuf. So many methods and functions are here. So now we can directly use this class in our project and implement, or we can consume the API. So I will show you how we can do that. Now in program.cs, okay, as this is .NET 6, oh sorry, there is no other methods, but I'll do one thing. I'll make some modifications so that everyone can understand. Now those who are new to .NET 6 will get confused. gRPC client, so this is the namespace, public class program. Now public static void main. Okay, normally this is how the program.cs will looks like. Now I'm implementing the same here. So first I'll do one thing. I'll remove show all files. We don't need to see the other files now. Now here, first we need to create a channel. Var channel equals gRPC channel. So for that we have to use gRPC.NET.client. For address, now here we can provide the address of the gRPC service. So let me do one thing. First I will open this project. Okay, I'm running the project. Fine. Now you can see that the URL is http://localhost 5000. The port number is 5000. So I can use the same here. So the channel for address is, this is the URL and this is the port number. So you can provide the base address of the gRPC service, which is where it is hosted. Now the next thing is to create a client of our service. So var client equals new sample. So you can use gRPC service namespace. So it is already there in our obj folder here in debug. In this CS files we have this gRPC namespace, so we are going to use this, and we are going to use some methods in this particular class. So sample.sampleClient. Now here we have to provide the channel as a parameter. Fine. Now client dot get full name. So here I need to provide the request, sample request, in which first name equals John and last name equals Thomas. Fine. Now here I will get the response here itself, var response equals client.getFullName. And also we can call this method asynchronous. So that is, I will show you how we can call that. Var response equals await client dot get full name async, new sample request, first name. Okay, let me copy all this. Fine. Now we can just print the value, or not the value, here response dot full name. So if we open our proto file, you can see that proto file is having one property, full name. So response will be having that property, full name, and we can print that. So this full name will be having the response what we are getting from this API. And finally, I'll do one thing, console.read key. Fine. Now let me run this application. So we are running the service application already. The API service is running here, and it is listening for localhost port number 5000. Okay. Now I'm running the client application, and let us see whether we are receiving the response from the server. Now I'm running it, and there's some build errors. Does not contain a static method. Oh, sorry. Let it be task. Fine. And we are getting an error, status code unimplemented. This is because now in our gRPC service, let me open the gRPC service application, and here in program.cs you can see that app.map gRPC service greeter service, we have mapped only the greeter service, we have not mapped the sample service here. So we have to provide sample service. So sample service. Now I am compiling. Okay, let me close this running service. Okay, the compile got succeeded. Fine. Now let me open the service application again. Fine, and it is running. Now let us run the client application. And you can see now we are receiving the value John Thomas. So we are sending John as first name and Thomas as second name, and we are receiving the full name as response here. Next, let me open the proto file, and now you have seen we have used string data type. So in the same way we can use multiple data types. So in our object or in our API we have to use, or we have to pass different data types like integer, long, boolean values, all these things. So gRPC supports different types of data types, and we can use those data types in this messages. So let's see what are the data types that we can use in gRPC. So you can open the language guide for Proto 3. I will mention this URL in the video description. So in this particular page, you can see an option, scalar value types. And if you go to that, scalar value types, a scalar message field can have one of the following types. The table shows the type specified in the proto file. So let us see what are the types here. Here you can see the type to be mentioned in the proto file and the equivalent type which can be used in C#. So we can use double, and in C# it will be double, float, and int32 for integers, and int64 for long data types. And in the same way there are so many unsigned integers, so many data types here. And going down we can see bool. We can use bool here for true or false, and in C# we will get it as bool, then string which we have already used, and also we can use bytes which can be retrieved as byte string in C#. Now let's implement some complex object in gRPC Unary API. So the complex object will contain multiple fields with different data types. So let's see how we can implement that. So first I'm creating a new proto file. I'm copying this sample.proto and pasting it here again and just renaming it to product.proto and opening that and removing these two messages. We don't need this. First, the request is message product, okay, product model. I'm just naming it as product model. Now this should contain a string product name, then string product code. Now next, double price, fine. Let the product model have these three fields: product name, product code, and price. Now we are having a service in which we are the method name is save product. So let's assume we are using this particular method to save the product in our database. So to this service or to this particular method, we have to pass the product model, and it should return some value. So let me create message product save response and let it be some integer int 32 status code. So let's assume we are returning some status code to identify whether the product saving has been succeeded or not. Okay, I am also using a bool value is successful, and that is 2. The field number is 2. Fine. So now we will send this product save response as a response for this particular save product method, and we have to use, okay, the service, let it be product, and the package also I'm changing it to product. Okay, now I'm building the project and you can see the build got succeeded. Fine. Now let's implement the service here. So class, I'm creating a new class and naming it as product service. Fine. Now this should inherit from product dot product base. Okay, here now I can override the save product method. Fine. Now here what we need to do here is we can implement the insert method to the database. Now currently I'm not using any database. This is for a demo purpose. So what you can do here is you can save the data to your database and send back the response. So here what we are just assuming that here we have implemented the database insertion method here. Now finally, after implementation, we are just responding back with a new product save response. So here for product save response, we should use the status code, let it be 1. So let's assume 1 means successful, and we also have one boolean value. I'm passing it as true here. Then return task from result of result. Okay, and here what I'm doing here is I'm just printing in the console so that we can see whether we are receiving the values as we expected. So request dot product name, then request dot product code, then request dot price. Fine. We are just printing these values in the console window of the server application. So we will come to know whether the values are coming as we sent from the client. Fine. Now I'm just okay. Before that, I'm opening the program.cs, and here we have to use product service. We have to map the product service. Fine. Now I'm just building the application, and the build got succeeded. Now I'll do one thing. I'll run this service so that we can call it from the client application. So I'm running it. Now it is running and listening for localhost colon 5000. Fine. Now let us implement the same in our client. So I'm just copying this proto file and pasting it here and just editing the project. And you can see it has been added here, product.proto. Fine, that is enough. Now I'm just compiling the application so that the code in obj folder will get generated, and we can see that product gRPC, the code is here, and the namespace will be the gRPC service. The namespace is here. Fine, so that is enough. Now we can use that namespace in our application as we did before. So I'm going to program.cs, and here now I'm using a new client. Okay, one more thing what you have to what I forgot to mention here is once we are done with this operation, we can call client dot not client, channel dot shutdown async method. So this will shut down the channel. So I'll do one thing. Now we need to shut down the channel after sending the product details. So we are using the same channel to send the product details. So var, now I'm creating a new client, client2 equals new product dot product base. Oh, sorry, not product base. So new product dot. Oh, okay. What happened here is we can edit the project file. Okay, here you can see here it is mentioned as server. So this is not server, this should be client. So I'm just changing it. Now compiling the code again. Now we will be able to create the client. Where client2 equals new product dot product client of channel. So I'm using the same channel, and now var response 2 equals client2 dot save product async. I'm using the asynchronous method. Await. Okay. Now here we need to pass product model. So in product model we should provide the product name. So the product name, let me provide it MacBook Pro. Okay. Now the product code is B1001. Price is some, yeah, I'm just providing some 5,000. Fine. Now we will get response here. So in console window, I'm just writing the response or just printing the response. So here response 2 dot status code, then response 2 dot uh, is successful. Fine. Now let me run the application, and you can see now we got one true from here. Now let me open the server application, and you can see now here we are printing in console window. So the product name has reached here, MacBook Pro, and the product code, then the double value, the price value. So we are clearly receiving the value here in the server, and from the server the client is receiving the response. So this is how we can use complex objects. Next, let's see how we can pass request or response with array of objects. So let's see how we can do that. So here, now let us assume we are having one more method in the service, get products. So let us assume we are going to receive a list of products from the server. Fine. For this, we need to pass, okay, let's assume we don't need to pass any parameters. So here in the previous examples, we are passing parameters and getting the response. But for get products, we don't need to pass any parameters. We need empty parameters, or we don't need any parameters, but it should return array of product model. Okay, so this is what we are going to implement now. So let's see how we can do that. For passing an empty parameter, or for we don't need any parameters. So for that, first I'm importing google/protobuf/empty.proto. So we can provide this import method here in our proto file. Next, we need to provide google.protobuf.empty here instead of parameter. So this type will be available in the imported proto file. Okay, so here we have to provide it like this. Now we don't need to pass any parameters while calling this getProducts method. Now the next thing is it should return a list of products. So we need the product model, but it is the product model is of single product. So if we provide product model here, it will return only a single product, but we need a list of products. So for that, I'm creating a new message. I'm naming this as product list, and here instead of string double and all, what I'm going to do here is product model, and I'm naming this as products. But that is not enough. Here what we have to provide is, okay, one more thing. Okay, I'm providing the field number, but for passing an array or a list, we need to use the keyword repeated along with it. So repeated product model is the type. So we can use repeated string if we need to pass a list of string or an array of string. But here we need a list of product model. So I'm using list of product model, and the name of the field is products. Fine. Now here we need to return product list. Now let me build the application. I think there's a small mistake happened. Okay, we have made the changes here. Fine. Anyway, we have to make the changes in both proto files. So first we need to make the changes in the server proto file. Okay, now let me build the server application, and you can see the compilation got succeeded. Now here I'm going to implement, I'm overriding the getProducts method, and here you can see it is an empty. So google.protobuf.wellknowntypes.empty. Fine. Now here what we can do here is now here we know that we have to pass an array of product models. So what we can do here is var product 1 is equals a new product model, and let me create some dummy products. Product name equals product 001, then product code equals P01, then price equals 100. Fine. Now we can create another product here. So here what you can do really is you can fetch the data from your database and return the value. But here, as in this demo, I'm not using a database. I just need to show you how gRPC Unary works with a list of products. So I'm just showing it here, how we can do that. Product model, so this is 3. Fine, these many products are enough. 100, 200 and 300. Fine. Now return task dot from result of new product list var result equals new product list result dot products result dot products dot add product 1 and 2, then 3. Now here we can just pass the result as the response. That is enough. I'm just compiling the service application and the build got succeeded. Now I'm compiling the client application as well. So here in the client proto file we have already modified. Actually, we have modified the client proto file initially. So the changes are already done here. Fine. Now in the client application, what I'm going to do here is I'm creating a new client where client 3 equals this is the product client only, so we can make use of the client 2 itself. So var response 3 equals await client 2 dot get products async, and as it is an empty, now here we have to pass a parameter, but we know that it is an empty. So what we can do here is new google.protobuf.wellknowntypes.empty. This is enough, and here we will get the response. Now what I'm doing here is for each response, var product in response 3 dot products. Now let us print all the products in the console window. Product details. So product dot product name, then product dot product code, then product dot price. Fine. Now let me compile the server first. Okay, server is compiled. So now let me run the server application first. So let the server be running. Okay, now we can just run the client application and see whether we are receiving the product details. Fine, you can see here the for loop worked and we are receiving all the 3 products which we are sending from the server application. Next, let us see how we can pass a date time value as a parameter in response or request. So here when you see the scalar value types, you can see that there is no date time value here in this list. So let's see how we can pass datetime value in response or in request. So I have opened the product.proto file of our service application or the server application, gRPC server application in Visual Studio. So let's assume we are having one more field in product model. Let's say it as stock date. But you might be thinking what data type we can use here for this stock date. So for that, we need to import a new proto file, that is google/protobuf/timestamp.proto. After importing that, we can use a data type google.protobuf.timestamp for this particular field, stock date. Okay, fine. Now let me copy all the things from this proto file and paste it here in our client product.proto. Fine. Now in the server, I'm just compiling the application. Okay, our server application is running. I'm stopping it. Fine. Now the compilation got succeeded, and also in the client, I'm compiling the application, and the client application also got succeeded. Now here in program.cs of our client application, we are sending the product model here. So here what we can provide here is stock date equals. So now if we are checking the data type of stock date, we can see that google.protobuf.wellknowntypes.timestamp. So in the same way, we can use that same data type. So timestamp, for that we have to use google.protobuf.wellknowntypes. After that, from DateTime, and here we can provide a date time. So I'm creating a new date time here for stock date equals new date time of, I'm providing a date time of February 1. Okay, so this is year, month, and day. Now, in order to pass the value to timestamp, we should make sure this date time is in UTC timestamp. So for that, I'm just mentioning it, datetime dot specify kind, comma datetime dot UTC. Fine. Now this datetime is in UTC format, and we can directly use this here, timestamp dot from date of stock date. Okay, in the same way, in our gRPC service, I'm using, not program.cs, I'm opening product services, and here we have get products method. So here also I'm just copying this was stock date. Okay, now here I'm providing stock date equals time stamp dot from date of stock date. Okay, fine. I'm providing the same timestamp or the same date for all. Now here in the for each loop, we are showing the product details. So here what I'm going to do is first I'm reading the stock date equals product dot stock date. So this stock date will be in the timestamp format. So we need to convert it to date time. So for that we can use toDateTime method. Fine. Now you can see here this stock date has become, okay, here there is another, okay, here also we have a stock date. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll change the name to stock date 1. Fine. Now stock date 1 is of DateTime format. Now we are just showing it here. Stock date 1 to string ddmmyyy. Fine. Now let us see how it works. First I am compiling the server compilation completed. Now let us run the server application. Fine, the server is running here. And now let me run the client application and let us see the DateTime format is working fine. And you can see here the DateTime has been provided, or it has been displayed as we have given. Now I will show you one more thing. So I have told you that we have to use the DateTime in universal time format or UTC format. What if it is not in UTC? So I'm just opening this product service, and here we are converting this to UTC. I'm just commenting this out. Now I'm just using stock date equals var stock date equals like this, a normal DateTime format. So this will be in the local format, not in UTC. So I'm just exiting the service application, compiling this again, and running the service application. Fine. So it won't show any error. Now you can see that the service application, the gRPC Unary API is working fine. But the problem will happen when we are calling this method from the client. So now I'm running the client, and you can see that it is waiting for some time. Okay, now it is showing the error. Status code is unknown. But if we are opening the server application, you can see here the error message. Conversion from datetime to timestamp requires the datetime kind to be UTC. So you will receive this error if the datetime you are passing to the timestamp is not in UTC. Hope you are clear with this. So that's it for this video. So we have completely created a gRPC Unary API, and we have used simple data types and complex objects in this video. Also, we have used timestamp and empty data types for passing empty values. Hope you are clear with the points. If you have any doubts, please comment to the video. So please give me a thumbs up for this video if you liked it. Share your feedback in comments. So see you all in the next video. Thank you.